You're driving home after dinner with some friends. Then you see it, red and blue lights in the mirror. Your stomach drops for half a second, but you're not sweating it. You didn't do anything wrong. And yet, every single day, thousands of drivers make one expensive mistake that turns a basic traffic stop into an arrest. They think being polite means being talkative. The officer walks up and hits you with, "Where are you coming from tonight?" Sounds friendly, sounds normal, sounds like small talk. But the second you answer that question, you may have just handed them what they need to detain you, to search you, to arrest you. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I've represented over 500 clients who talked themselves into handcuffs during traffic stops. People who were completely innocent, people who thought cooperation meant conversation. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 exact questions officers use to build a case against you. I'm going to show you the psychology behind why you feel pressured to answer. And I'm going to give you the only 4 phrases that help keep you safe and free. Number 1, the "where are you coming from" trap. The officer leans into your window, friendly smile, calm voice, and asks, "Where are you headed tonight?" Or, "Where are you coming from?" Most people answer instantly. "Just heading home from the bar downtown. Coming from my friend's house." No hesitation. Picture this. It's 11 p.m. on a Friday night. You get pulled over for a broken taillight, something you didn't even know was out. The officer walks up. Flashlight comes into the car, and he says, "Evening. Where are you coming from tonight?" You think, "I'll just be honest. I haven't done anything wrong." So you say, "Just left a birthday party at the tavern downtown." And watch what happens. The officer's whole vibe changes. His posture changes. His hand drifts a little closer to his weapon. He goes, "The tavern? That's a bar, right?" Then he follows up with, "How much have you had to drink tonight?" And you answer, because it feels rude not to, because he sounds casual, like a neighbor doing small talk over the fence. Your brain tells you cooperating means answering questions, and you think, if I don't answer, I'll look guilty. But here's the truth. This is not small talk. This is evidence gathering. Officers are trained to ask location questions because your answer gives them 3 critical pieces of information. First, your destination or origin. If you mention a bar, a club, a concert venue, or anywhere tied to alcohol or drugs, they now have reasonable suspicion for further investigation. Second, your route. If your story doesn't match where you actually are, they can claim you seem confused or impaired. Third, your consistency. They'll ask the same question in different ways. If your answers change even a little, they'll call it evidence of intoxication or lying. Body cams record everything. So when you say, "I'm coming from the tavern," that recording can become Exhibit A in a DUI case. Your own words put you at a place where alcohol is served, and the prosecutor doesn't need a breathalyzer to get momentum. They have your statement. They have your confession that you were at a drinking spot. Here's how fast it escalates. Officer, "Where are you headed tonight?" Driver, "Just heading home from dinner with some friends." Officer, "Oh yeah, where'd you eat?" Driver, This Italian place downtown." Officer, "Have you been drinking tonight?" Driver, "Just 1 glass of wine." Officer, "Step out of the vehicle." See how fast that happened? The driver was trying to be friendly, but every answer gave the officer more ammunition. So when an officer asks where you're going or where you're coming from, you say exactly this. "Officer, I prefer not to answer any questions." Say it calmly. Say it politely. Do not elaborate. Do not apologize. Say it, then stop talking. If they push back with, "Why not? You got something to hide?" You repeat, "I'm happy to provide my license and registration, but I prefer not to answer questions." This works because you are not required to answer investigative questions. The Supreme Court has ruled you have a Fifth Amendment right to remain silent during police encounters. But here's the critical part. You have to invoke it explicitly. Just sitting there quietly isn't enough. You must say the words. Location questions aren't friendly conversation. They are evidence-gathering tools, and they can turn innocent answers into probable cause for an arrest. Number 2, do you know why I pulled you over? The confession trap. This is one of the most common questions in American policing, and it's one of the most effective traps. The officer asks, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And you immediately start guessing. Was I speeding? Did I not use my signal? Was my tail light out? You're driving down the highway, maybe 5 miles over the speed limit, same as everyone else. You merge into the left lane. A minute later, lights behind you. The officer walks up and says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Now your mind is racing. Did I signal? Was I speeding? Did I cross the line? You want to sound cooperative. So you say, was I going a little fast? And the officer pulls out the ticket book. Yes, you were. You answer because it feels like a test. You think, if I guess right, maybe I get a warning. And you also think staying quiet makes you look guilty. So you start offering options. But here's what you just did. You confessed to something the officer might not have even observed. Officers ask this question for one reason: to get you to incriminate yourself. Maybe the officer only saw you change lanes without signaling. But when you say, "Was I speeding?" you just admitted a second violation. Or worse, maybe the officer stopped you on a hunch with no legal basis. And when you say, "Was I speeding?" you just handed him the legal justification he didn't have. Body cams don't record intent. They record words. So when the prosecutor plays that video, the jury hears you say, "Was I speeding?" That's a confession. It doesn't matter that it sounded like a question. You volunteered it. So when an officer asks, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" you respond with exactly this. "No, officer. Why did you pull me over?" Say it neutrally. Don't guess. Don't speculate. Don't offer theories. Force the officer to state the reason on their body cam. Make them commit to a specific violation. If they respond with, "You tell me," you repeat, "I don't know, officer. I'm happy to provide my license and registration." This works because it flips the script. Instead of you offering confessions, you make the officer explain the stop, and you create a clean record. "Do you know why I pulled you over?" is designed to get you to confess to violations the officer may not have seen or can't prove. Protect yourself by never guessing. Number 3, have you had anything to drink? The DUI pipeline. The officer asks, "Have you been drinking tonight?" And you think honesty is the best policy. "Yeah, I had one beer with dinner. Just a glass of wine a couple hours ago." It's 9 p.m. on a Saturday. You're driving home after dinner with your spouse. You had one glass of wine at 6 p.m., well below the legal limit. You get pulled over for failing to signal a lane change. The officer walks up, flashlight in the car, and asks, "Have you had anything to drink tonight?" You think, "I'll be honest, it was one glass, and it was hours ago." So you say, "Yeah, I had one glass of wine with dinner." And the officer immediately says, "Step out of the vehicle." You answer because you think admitting to a small amount makes you look honest and cooperative. You think, if I say no and he smells alcohol, I'll look like a liar. You believe telling the truth about one drink will convince the officer you're fine. But here's the reality. Any admission of alcohol consumption can give the officer probable cause to investigate you for DUI. The moment you admit to drinking any amount, the officer now has legal justification to order you out, to run field sobriety tests, to request a preliminary breath test, to detain you for further investigation. It doesn't matter that you're sober. It doesn't matter you had one drink 3 hours ago. Your admission is all they need to move the stop into a DUI investigation. Body cams record your admission. In court, the prosecutor plays that footage. Did you tell the officer you had been drinking? Yes. And then you failed the field sobriety tests. You're done. Even if you pass the breathalyzer, your admission plus any minor mistake during field tests can be used as grounds to arrest you. So when an officer asks if you've been drinking, you say, "Officer, I prefer not to answer questions. I'm exercising my right to remain silent." If they push with, "Why not? You've been drinking," you respond, "I'm happy to provide my license and registration, but I'm invoking my right to remain silent." If they order you out for field sobriety tests, you comply physically. But you state clearly, "I am complying under protest. I do not consent to any tests. I want to speak with my attorney." This works because field sobriety tests are voluntary in most states. Preliminary breath tests are voluntary in most states. You generally cannot be forced to perform them roadside. By invoking your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and your Sixth Amendment right to an attorney, You cut off the officer's ability to gather more evidence from your mouth. They may still arrest you if they claim they see signs of impairment, but you didn't hand them a confession. Admitting to just one drink isn't honesty, it's probable cause. And it can turn a traffic stop into a DUI investigation, field tests, and an arrest. Number 4, mind if I search your car? The rights waiver. The officer asks, you got anything illegal in the car? Mind if I take a quick look? And you think, I've got nothing to hide, so why not? You say, no, I don't have anything. Sure, go ahead. You're pulled over for a minor traffic violation. The officer walks up, asks for your documents. And while you're grabbing them, he's scanning your car with a flashlight. He says, you got anything in the car I should know about? Drugs, weapons, anything illegal? You say, no, officer, nothing like that. He responds, then you wouldn't mind if I take a quick look, right? You think, if I say no, I'll look guilty. So you say, sure, go ahead. You consent because refusing feels suspicious. Your brain tells you innocent people have nothing to hide. You think saying yes makes you look cooperative and ends the stop faster. But here's the truth. The moment you consent, you have waived your Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable searches. When an officer asks to search your car, they're asking for one reason. They do not have probable cause to search without your permission. If they had probable cause, they wouldn't ask. If they saw contraband in plain view, if they smelled marijuana, if they had a warrant, they would just search. The fact they're asking means they need your consent. And once you give it, they can search everywhere. Glove box, center console, under seats, trunk. They can pull things apart. They can dump bags out. They can take as long as they want. Body cams record your consent. Do you mind if I search your car? No, go ahead. That's legal consent. And anything they find, no matter how invasive it feels, becomes admissible in court. So when an officer asks to search your car, you say clearly, Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Don't say, I'd rather not. Say it plainly. I do not consent. If they push with, what are you hiding? You repeat, I'm not trying to be difficult, officer. I simply do not consent to searches. Am I free to leave? This works because officers need either consent, probable cause, or a warrant to search. By denying consent, you force them to establish one of the other two. And if they search anyway, your clear denial on body cam gives your attorney the ammunition to challenge that search and potentially get evidence suppressed. Mind if I search your car? Is not casual. It's a request for you to waive constitutional rights and allow an invasive search you can't control once it starts. Number 5, I'm trying to help you. The lie. The officer says, look, if you just cooperate and tell me what's going on, I can help you out. But if you make this difficult, it's going to be a lot worse for you. You believe them, and you start talking. You've been pulled over. The officer is asking questions. You politely decline to answer. Now the officer leans in and says, listen, I'm trying to help you here. If you cooperate and just answer my questions, I'll cut you a break. But if you're going to make this hard, I'll have to take you down to the station. You panic. You think, if I keep refusing, he's going to arrest me. Maybe I should just answer so this ends. You answer because the officer sounds sincere. They frame cooperation like it's the path to leniency. You think, if I explain myself, he'll understand and let me go. But here's the truth. Police can legally lie to you. This is a lie. The Supreme Court has ruled police can lie about almost anything during an investigation. They can lie about evidence. They can lie about witnesses. They can lie about what happens if you don't cooperate. They can lie about their ability to help you out. So when an officer says, cooperate and I'll help you, that's a tactic. Officers do not have the authority to make deals roadside. Only prosecutors do. So when an officer says they're trying to help you, you respond, I appreciate that, officer, but I'm exercising my right to remain silent and my right to speak with an attorney. If they threaten to make things worse, you repeat, I understand. I still want to speak with my attorney before answering questions. This works because officers can't punish you for exercising your rights. If they arrest you solely because you invoked your Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights, that's retaliation, and your attorney will tear that apart in court. I'm trying to help you is a lie. Officers can't make deals roadside. and any promise of leniency in exchange for answers is a tactic to get you to incriminate yourself. The 4 phrases to memorize. Here's the core principle you need to understand. Traffic stops are investigations, not conversations. Every question an officer asks is designed to gather evidence, not to help you, not to be friendly, to build a case. The only way to protect yourself is to remember these 4 phrases. Am I free to leave? This establishes the legal status of the encounter and forces the officer to clarify whether you're detained. I'm exercising my right to remain silent. This invokes your Fifth Amendment protection against self-incrimination. Say it explicitly. Silence alone isn't enough. I want to speak with my attorney. This invokes your Sixth Amendment right to counsel. And it legally ends questioning. I do not consent to any searches. This protects your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches and seizures. Print these phrases. Practice them out loud. Memorize them. Because in the moment, with adrenaline pumping and an officer in your face, you'll default to what you've practiced. This video is for educational purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice. Always consult with a licensed attorney in your jurisdiction about your specific situation. If this video helped you, hit the like button. Subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss critical legal advice that could save you from arrest. Share this with everyone you know who drives, because this stuff comes up fast, and most people are not ready. Remember, the smartest thing you can say to police is nothing at all. Stay calm, stay silent.